without much further ado, I'm going to hand this over to our wonderful presenters to talk to us about the National Homework Hotline for students who are blind or visually impaired. So you guys take it away.
Thank you, Alaya. And again, thank you all for being here this evening or afternoon, depending on where you are, for this APH Family Connect webinar on the National Homework Hotline. I want to just say a special thanks to Alaya and Catherine Botsford for inviting me and my team members here to share information and updates about this resource. It's not our first time doing a webinar on this hotline. So we're sort of doing, as the title says, a catching up with the hotline webinar today. But we are going to talk about the nuts and bolts of the hotline, how it was started, and what services it provides for those of you who are just learning about this resource for the first time. So my name is Monique Coleman, and I'm a TVI based in New Jersey. I'm also the president of VISTAS Education Partners, and I am the co-founder of the National Homework Hotline. My co-facilitators today are also members, some of whom are founding members of our core hotline team, who I will now introduce individually. First is Ida Behreini. She is one of our founding members. Ida graduated with a degree in computer science from Drew University in May of 2019, and she currently works as a software engineer at JPMorgan Chase and Company. Ida is always eager to help students reach their full potential. She has supported a number of students with the hotline and really never says no when we throw a help request her way. So really appreciate Ida. And next joining me is Becca Weber. Becca is in her last year at Kutztown University, where she is studying to become a TVI. She is currently completing her student teaching and is excited to enter the field. Becca is an experienced Braille and access technology user, and she has worked as a Braille tutor at Kutztown's Vision Tech or Vision Program Center, and she enjoys helping developing readers. She's one of our stalwart volunteers and works with a couple of students on developing their Braille reading skills. And last but not least, we have Kristen Witucki, another founding member of the hotline. Kristen is a blind TVI, author, content editor, and mentor. She lives in New Jersey as well with her husband and 3 children. Kristen serves as the hotline's dispatch scheduler, and that means she reviews all of the support requests that we receive, and she matches students with volunteers. So our plan for this webinar is to talk about how the hotline works, the services it provides, and the benefits it offers for students, their parents, and teachers. So I was really excited to see that there are a majority, I would say, of TVIs or other teachers and instructors and professionals who work with blind or visually impaired students on this webinar or in this webinar today. I believe that you will find the information, I think, helpful, and it might be a resource that you would want to connect your students with. We have quite a few teachers that contact us, in some instances case managers as well, seeking support for their students. So throughout this presentation, we will share audio clips of students who are actually receiving services from the hotline or who have received hotline services in the past, as well as reflections by our students and volunteers. And at the end of our presentation, we will open up this webinar to questions that you all may have. But throughout our talk, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I believe that is possible. And we are more than happy to address them during the Q&A. So first, I will share a little bit about the origins of the National Homework Hotline, which I may refer to as the hotline or NHH for short, so I don't get too tongue-tied here. It's a free telephone-based homework support service for blind and visually impaired K-12 and college students. And this is really a volunteer-driven service. And I could almost characterize it as a mutual aid service that started last March when the schools across the country began to close due to the COVID-19 crisis. And the goal of the hotline at that time was really just to provide support for blind and visually impaired students who were thrust into the world of remote learning so suddenly. And the goal really was to help support those students in successfully navigating their educational programs, their remote educational programs, and also addressing the unique learning needs and challenges related to this environment, this remote learning environment. And it was an idea that sort of germinated, I think, again, in the context of all the rapid changes that were happening. And when I thought about this idea, because I'm a TVI with many years of experience and I know the challenges that our students face, I was eager to put this service together. And within really a matter of weeks, after contacting Ida and Kristen and a couple of my other colleagues in the New Jersey area, we were able to assemble a team of volunteers from across the country to become members of this support resource for students. So here we are now, more than a year later. So we started in March, beginning of March, and we're still providing the service. And I think that's for two reasons. First, obviously, we're not out of the woods yet with the pandemic, and many schools are still fully remote or operating on a hybrid schedule. So there's clearly a need in terms of the remote learning context. But then secondly, as Alaya alluded to earlier, and based on feedback that we've received from volunteers and some of our families, as well as colleagues in the field of BVI education, it really has become clear to us that there is a need for this type of easily accessible, personalized, after-school educational resource for blind and visually impaired students. There was a need for it before the pandemic, and we believe that there's still a need for it after the pandemic. So our plan is to continue this service once we get on the other side of what we're experiencing now, so that again, students who are blind and visually impaired have a center that they can just call and get help with, and really specific help that's relevant for their needs. So just what types of support does the NHH offer to students? Well, thanks to the varied backgrounds and experiences of our volunteers, we are able to provide core subject area tutoring, support in areas of the expanded core curriculum, which we see most of our calls coming in for compensatory skills help, such as abacus instruction, and support, help with Braille reading. And then we also get calls in the area of sensory efficiency from low vision students who may be looking for strategies and techniques to better access their curriculum using low vision skills and technology. And certainly technology is a primary area in which we provide support. And additionally, some of the more peripheral areas of the expanded core that we find the volunteers able to support students in are self-determination, career education. And we're going to talk a little bit more in the webinar about how we address those areas in an almost organic fashion with many of the students that we work with through the kind of mentorship and relationships that evolve between our volunteers and students. So we also have, as a part of the Hotline's kind of core services, a Braille Reading Buddy program, and that supports students who are developing their Braille reading skills. And that means either younger students who are emerging readers or older students who may be just learning Braille, or low vision students learning Braille as a secondary reading media. We also have volunteers who provide instructional support to Braille readers who may be just learning contracted Braille. So they have a base and they're learning contracted Braille code. So I want to start our discussion of our services by talking about the Braille Reading Buddy program. And to do that, I'm going to introduce Becca Weber, who has been working with one student in particular since, I believe, the summer on his Braille reading skills.
So thanks, Monique. So the Braille Reading Buddy program encourages students to spend more time reading Braille. During reading buddy sessions, a hotline volunteer or reading buddy listens to the student as they read from a familiar book. Most of our reading buddies are Braille readers themselves who are very knowledgeable with contracted Braille. As reading buddies, we help the students with identifying Braille symbols and contractions, as well as phonics and comprehension. Now I will share 2 short audio clips of reading buddy sessions that I had with an older student, a developing reader who I started working with last summer. At that time, he was an emergent Braille reader, but after months of daily Braille reading and weekly Braille reading buddy sessions, he had improved a lot. This first audio clip we will play is him reading from The Dinosaurs Before Dark, which is about a first grade level book. This recording was at the end of the summer, and there's a photograph on the screen that's showing the student reading from the Focus 40 Braille display.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Drew.
Wait, there is a
T.
contraction. No,
This.
contraction.
T.
Becca, can you help him with the contraction?
Yeah, so TH sign and then .50U.
Drew.
Remember what .50U is?
Drew.
No, he hasn't learned it.
Okay, that's on. So TH and .50U is thought.
Dot. Jack. This is how what he got for sending and sending time.
Can you go back to the word before time?
Spend.
You good? Span.
Spending time.
Yep.
Now, the next clip we will play is a recent recording of the student reading from Because of Winn-Dixie, which is about 2 grade levels higher.
And Becca, this recording is from when? Was it up just recently?
Yeah, this recording was like last week, and it's just great to see the progress that you can tell from the recording.
Okay, so let me put that in.
It all started with Winn-Dixie not liking it when I went into the library because he could not go inside. But I showed him how he could stand.
So as you can tell from this recording, this student has improved so much since this summer, and his fluency has increased greatly, and he is more confident. He's sounding out words, he's reading new contractions, and he's just doing such a great job. I believe that being a reading buddy is something that he really enjoys, and it's just contributed to his progress greatly. So one additional benefit to the Reading Buddy program is that the parents can get to learn alongside with the students as they read. I really enjoy being a reading buddy and helping students become better Braille readers, and I think it's awesome to watch the students' reading progression.
Well, thank you, Becca, so much for sharing your experience with this particular student and your enthusiasm for helping him develop his Braille reading skills. We know the importance of Braille literacy even in the midst of this sort of massive expansion of digital learning. So as a hotline, as a service for students, the Braille Reading Buddy is it's integral really to what we do. So our next area of service that we want to talk about this afternoon is technology. As you can imagine, many of the support request calls that we get are related to technology. So our volunteers are prepared to assist students with a range of techniques, including navigating their devices using JAWS or VoiceOver, and using their Braille note takers or refreshable Braille displays. Oftentimes when providing technology support, we find that students may have already learned particular various key commands and particular navigation techniques that they need to accomplish the tasks that they're seeking help with. But sometimes they just may not have fully mastered those particular skills yet. Sometimes they may forget something that they learned, and they don't necessarily have a quote unquote cheat sheet to refer to. Sometimes they may not know how to apply their foundational tech skills in novel situations, such as navigating a new website. So receiving, hotline tech support really addresses students' individual technology needs, and it provides the kind of reinforcement in using those skills that help students really get through their particular assignments or projects that they have to do, or even just extracurricular activities that they want to be able to do and use technology to enhance. Oftentimes our volunteers will provide follow-up resources for students that they can then refer to on their own. And again, that's tying in that self-determination piece as well. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ida to talk more about the tech support service that we offer.
Thanks, Monique. Yeah, so a lot of our requests that come in are one-time technology requests, whether it be learning how to use, like you said, a novel system like using Google Meet or some sort of Google Docs or something of that nature. And in that case, I'll go in and assist the student and remind them of common keyboard commands or shortcuts or tips and tricks that not only can they use on that particular website or application, but that are applicable when they're approaching new resources as well, to tie into that self-determination piece and hopefully allow them to face challenges with more confidence next time. Another type of call that we often receive are students who need regular follow-ups and regular sessions to do with technology. So for example, a student that I was working with in the spring and summer and a little bit this year as well needed help with learning how to access Gmail on his iPhone. And we worked on a lot of skills in tandem. Comes to listening to voiceover and managing the new Gmail application. This particular student also needed help with writing skills too. So as we were drafting emails, we were also practicing those types of skills, how to reply to emails, how to go into the sent folder. And these sorts of skills were built over time, little by little. And one of the most important facets was building the student's confidence, because sometimes the student definitely knows more than they think they know, but they just need a lot of encouragement and attention. And also, this student evolved into other things like learning Google Docs or Google Drive. And so these types of calls are really important for the students, not only in their technical abilities, but also in growing their confidence when using technology. So we do have a clip here as well from a student named CJ. And this is an example of more of a one-time call that we were doing to get him to a certain meeting he wanted to get to. So you can go ahead and play it, Monique.
Okay. I'm not sure if this was the meeting clip. I'm sorry, but it may or may not be, because I know you gave me a couple, but if it's not, forgive me and you can follow up.
It's a clip to do with technology and
Yeah.
student. That's the most important thing.
Or Zoom link to Zoom, and it would just be for this specific email?
Well, any emails that come in, let's say Monique sends you an email and she has a Zoom link for you, or any meetings that you have to join, you can put it into this folder. So maybe you can call it meetings or invites.
Maybe Zoom links?
Okay, you could try Zoom links. So type that out.
ZOOLINKS.
Yep, press enter.
Enter. Move the button menu. Press space to activate the menu. Then navigate with arrow keys. Main region. Quick read only. Address. Audible.com.
Okay, awesome. So it was, I'm pretty sure it was moved.
Yeah.
So how do you normally get to your navigation menu on Gmail?
What do you mean when you say navigation?
Like the place where you can navigate to inbox, deleted, junk.
I haven't usually been doing that.
You haven't. So if you're here, how do you get back to your inbox?
Do I do links list and then
Sure, if that's the way you normally do it. You could try that.
Links list dialog. Important. No, introducing. No, introduce. Inscribe page. Introduce. Important.
Okay, let's try. So, but
I passed it.
so we're trying to get to, remember we just made a folder called Zoom links. Let's press Z in the links list to find Zoom links.
Witucki is inviting you. Z. Zoom links at
Yep.
menu.
Do you hear that? So press that.
Enter. Out of table.
Exactly. So now you're in your Zoom links folder. So any emails that you've moved here will appear. So if you press X,
Unselected. X. One select X. Not select.
maybe try hitting escape.
Important. Short arm. No subject. Bracket.
Yeah, exactly. So did you just...
Important. Short arm. No subject. 2:31 p.m.
Exactly. So it's just saying the no subject email that you've moved there is there. And that's the only mail that you have in your Zoom links folder. Although we were trying to get the Michael Welton email.
Michael Welter.
Welter, sorry. So we could try doing that. Let's go ahead and open your links list and go to your inbox. Just so you can practice it one more time.
Okay. Links list dialog. Link inbox 18.
Yep. Press enter.
Enter.
Sorry.
Table. Column 1.
So
row
press
1.
X until you hear Michael Welter.
X.
You might need to hit escape or something.
B. No conversation selected. X. Escape. Virtual PC
Yes.
selected. Unread. Audible.com. Important note about your membership. Unread. Apple unread. Michael Shoram. No subject. Box 20. Michael Welter is
Yep,
inviting you.
there it is. So let's press enter.
Box graphic Shoram. Graphic link no subject. Enter. No subject. Shiola at gmail.com. Gmail. Google Chrome. Christopher personal. Google Chrome. Main region. Heading level 2. No subject. Clickable.
Do you know how to get to your buttons list? You have your links list. Do you know the buttons list?
B.
What'd you say?
I said B.
Well, that's to go through each button, but remember you were able to create the list of all the links?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do that with buttons?
No, actually no.
Okay, let's see. I think it's forms list. So if you press insert F5.
Alert. Low battery. The form field dialog. List 1, list 2.
Yep.
Investigation and Bellevue button 1 of 37.
So press L for L for labels.
L labels menu.
Yep. And then you can also press M for move to.
M more menu.
M again.
More menu, main menu, more, move to menu.
Exactly. So there, press enter.
Enter. Move the button to last. To activate, press space bar. Move to
All right, let's press spacebar to expand it.
menu. To navigate, press upper
And let's find the folder Zoom links. It should be in that list, and press enter on it.
/notes. Zoom links.
Yep.
Zoom link.
Press enter.
Enter. Leaving menus. Move to button menu. Press space to activate the menu.
All right.
Arrow keys.
So now let's open up your links list and head into the Zoom links folder to check if it was added.
Let's go into the links list.
Yep.
Checkbox 1 blank. Unread.
And let's press Z.
Still sign up for our web links list Z. Zoom meeting MS. Witucki Z. Zoom links as menu. Enter. Out of table. Table. Column 1X. One select.
I think you have to press escape.
Escape. Out of table.
And now X.
Shore on. Bracket to top. Selected. Important. Shore on. No subject. 231. Shore on. No subject. I'm 20. Michael Welter is
Yep.
invited.
Yay, it's there. So the Michael Welter email has been added to your Zoom links folder. Do you see the benefit to having a folder like this? So let's say somebody asks you to join their Zoom. You add it to your folder, and then the time rolls around and you can't find the link. You can simply go into your links list, find your Zoom meetings folder, and it'll be right there in that folder.
Yeah, and that way they don't have to send me an invite every time.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Monique. Sorry about that earlier. So this student was looking to sort of improve their experience with using Zoom. They were being bombarded with a ton of different emails and a ton of different Zoom links. And many students are sort of overwhelmed with keeping organized on what meetings are when and what meeting room goes with what class. So we worked on, and this student is already pretty proficient with JAWS, as you heard. He knew about the links list and was using his Gmail account already. But I did teach him something new, which was how to add labels to his emails and how to create a new folder to keep all of those incoming Zoom links in, so that, as he said, he wouldn't have to keep asking someone for the links every single time. So that was an example of one of our students asking for help with technology support. I'm going to pass it over to Monique again to talk about the subject area tutoring that we do as well.
Thank you, Ida. Yeah, so another primary area of support is core subject tutoring. And the hotline provides core subject area tutoring in English language arts, writing, math, and science for students who are around grades 3 up through 12. And I say around because we currently have a second grader, actually, I believe the student's still in second grade, who's receiving support in early math skills. And that's basically connected to her abacus instruction. So again, as we are flexible, we have some wiggle room where our grade levels are concerned, but we find that most of the students who are requesting core subject area support tend to be at least, you know, in that upper elementary age level up through 12th grade. We also provide support to students who are undergraduate college age students and learners. Thanks to the varied backgrounds and experiences of our volunteers, we are also able to provide foreign language tutoring in Spanish. We're hoping to expand that in time. Now, unlike most traditional tutoring arrangements, the hotline tutors do not provide the tutoring content. Rather, the students' curriculum forms the actual content. So this does require the student to share their electronic copies of the specific materials that they are seeking to work on, whether that's worksheets or textbook pages, essays that they're editing. So they do need to share that with us prior to their lessons with our tutors. And there may be instances where we have to make that material accessible because most of our volunteers and tutors are blind or low vision themselves and may use screen reader technology or need some other sort of accessible format for the materials. Currently, Ida is working with a student, I believe, in algebra and also helping the student learn how to use the Desmos calculator. And I literally just got an email, or the hotline got an email today from the student's teacher, I believe, who is assisting the student in accessing the hotline. And the teacher said that the student is finding Ida's help wonderful, that she's truly a blessing at just the right time. And she talked about how Ida offered a session to help review the Desmos app and some problems that the student needed to work on. And the student is seeking additional tutoring services. So sometimes, again, it may just be a one-time or two-time support session, but oftentimes the students end up getting more longer-term tutoring. And so now Kristen will talk a little bit about her experience with providing essay writing support, which is, we used to get quite a few calls for a request for help in the area of writing and essays. So I want Kristen to touch a little bit more on that.
Thank you. So we have off and on had students come to us to, request help with basically breaking an essay down into more manageable parts, or just kind of thinking about, the steps that you need to take in order to write, first come up with a coherent thesis and then actually execute it. It's one of the many facets of English language arts that students might need some assistance with. Certainly both in the general population and in the BVI population. We're going to show an audio clip that we have actually played on the previous webinar because lately we haven't actually gotten any new essay requests. But this clip comes from my work with a college student. I believe she is in her first year of college. She does have a very high voice, by the way, but she is in fact in college. And she, at the time of the clip, was just beginning to think about a philosophy statement.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, this is Kristen from the National Homework Hotline. Is this Jade?
Yes.
Hi, Jade. How are you?
Good.
Good. Is this still a good time to talk to you about the questions you had?
Yes. Oh. I need help with I have an education class, but we're working on a paper that's due in November.
Okay.
About more towards like education stuff, but like I need help with like thesis statements.
Okay. So figuring out what a thesis statement is. Do you have one written already, or do you need help just learning more about what a thesis statement does?
I would need help with a thesis statement based on what I'm gonna write my paper about, but I don't have one currently.
Okay. Do you have a topic picked out yet?
It's supposed to be about, we're supposed to create our own philosophy of education.
Okay. If you could distill your ideas about education into one sentence, what do you think is most important about education or about the way students learn?
I think that we need good teachers that will connect with their students. that would students that do well have good teachers. Kind of like that.
Okay. So one thing that you may want to think about when you're coming up with your thesis statement is, so generally, if you think about like the standard 5-paragraph essay, right? Your first paragraph is your introduction, and sometimes what you'll do there is kind of bring the reader in, or introduce them to the topic, and then that introductory paragraph will end with the thesis statement. And the thesis statement is basically like one really powerful sentence that talks about what the whole paper is about. So all of the other paragraphs that come after that will hopefully prove what your thesis statement is saying. So one way to really come up with a good thesis statement is almost to write, well, there are a couple ways to do it. You can write down some ideas or topics that you want your paper to cover, like some ideas about your philosophy of education. You can even write some of the supporting paragraphs of the paper first, and then kind of go back to your introduction and, explain what all of those supporting paragraphs meant. So there are a number of ways to do it. So if you're not quite sure about what your paper, your whole statement of philosophy is about, it might be a good idea to, take some notes and, just kind of brainstorm first. And then you will kind of find the one central idea that everything is coming back to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and jot those ideas down and start working on it. And then if you would like one of the responders to review what you've written, then you can fill out the hotline request form. It's on so if you go to the VISTAS education website and then go to the National Homework Hotline, there is a Google form now where you can fill out your request for help and let us know, when you're available and what you need help with. And then one of our responders will call you back. So once you have some things jotted down for your thesis statement, if you'd like one of us to take a look at it and give you some feedback, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, I think that's all.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jade, for using the National Homework Hotline, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Hi. This is.
Oh, sorry about that. That's my little audio tech glitch. Okay. Thank you, Kristen, for sharing that clip about providing essay support to Jade. And I will just quickly say that one of the benefits to having an author on our team, an actual writer by profession, a content editor, is that we can provide this type of quality support for students who need writing support. But of course, we also have additional volunteers who are also able to provide strong support to students in the area of writing. So just to quickly recap what's on the slide show screen here, our core subject tutoring sessions can be anywhere between 45 to 60 minutes. Students are expected to provide the content based on their curriculum needs, and the lessons continue until the student no longer needs help. We really provide as much or as little as the students need. Thank you, Kristen. And now I think you're going to go ahead and talk about how the hotline also benefits parents and teachers who work with our students.
Yes, I'll just go over that quickly. So the hotline primarily helps the students themselves, but we do also support parents and TVIs when the need arises. When working with students, we usually prefer that families are involved with initiating the requests. So I know that most of the audience is TVIs here, and maybe, hopefully, you're excited about some of these services and want to, rush right away to our website to send a request. However, we in most cases would prefer that the parent or the student sends those, because setting up the call goes more smoothly if the parent or guardian is aware that this is happening. And we've had some dropped calls, or like where things have gotten lost in translation because one person set it up for another person who either didn't know or forgot. However, we've had a few requests in which the TVI initiated it, either because it was easier for her to do so than it was for the parent, or because the TVI actually wanted to increase their technological knowledge while the student was also learning. So our volunteers have occasionally helped TVIs with using things like using Chromebooks with their Chromebook screen reader, or Google Docs on iPads, and incorporating the teacher and the student on the same call translated into knowledge that the TVI could then pass along to other students in the future. And Ida is going to talk a little bit more now about who our volunteers are.
Thanks, Kristen. So our volunteers represent a wide array of people. Mostly, we're excited that most of our volunteers are blind or visually impaired themselves, and we feel like this is really important to the general mission of the National Homework Helpline, because one of the added benefits of having blind or visually impaired mentors be hands-on with the students is this sort of organic mentorship and networking that happens. Obviously, we do our best to stay professional and stick to the content, but obviously we're all human and eventually conversations arise. The students will often be really curious. Are you blind? What is this your full-time job? What do you do? Do you have a family? What do you like to do for fun? And naturally, we have these students who are asking really accomplished and amazing adults like Kristen and Becca about their lives, and being really inspired and being let know that there is life after blindness, and that you can be a writer or a mom or a TVI or a software developer or whatever you want to be. And our volunteers, a lot of us have extensive practice in tutoring in the advanced math and sciences, in writing, obviously, in Braille, as you just saw, in technology. And so we represent a wide array of knowledge between us, which is really great, because I would say all of the requests that we've gotten so far, there is somebody in this pool of volunteers who is able to help out in some way or another, which is really awesome. And Monique does a really great job of trying to select volunteers with a wide background and bridge the gaps where we see them, so that we're covering all our bases in terms of content and materials that we're able to help students with. So organic mentorship is super, super important as well to our cause. And just with the student that I was helping, as Monique mentioned, with the Desmos calculator, she and her mom were both like, oh, wow, you're a software developer. And you could just almost see like the gears turning in both of their minds. Like, whoa, wait, she can do this. This algebra stuff must be a piece of cake then for people with the right tools and technologies. So I think it really gives the students and their families a real needed boost of confidence and hope for their future as well.
Thank you, Ida, for sharing that. And on the screen is a picture of Ida herself sitting on looks like on a lovely park bench, pre-COVID times, I imagine, with her iPad on her lap and her seeing eye dog at her feet. And another picture shows Kristen on a computer screen being zoomed into a lesson with a student. This is not a hotline lesson, actually. This is just a picture that Kristen provided of her working with another student. All of the hotline support services are telephone based. So at this time, we are not providing video conference support. So Kristen's going to talk about the newest and latest and greatest, I guess, feature that we added to the hotline, and that is our apprenticeship or internship program.
Thank you. So one responsibility that we as TVIs and blind professionals take very seriously is the importance of helping transition age students to gain meaningful internship experiences. Unfortunately, with some career aspirations, such as working in the blindness field in any capacity, regular high schools can't offer a lot of experience that works for our students. So the student named CJ, who you actually heard a little while ago, wants to help people who are blind with adaptive technology. So, we have the hotline on which we receive a lot of tech calls, and we have the student who wants to learn how to help them. So we decided to give CJ this internship experience to help these students. So he's joined some of the volunteers on their calls, observing at first, and then assisting with the adaptive technology as needed. So here's an audio clip of me interviewing CJ about his internship experience. Hi, everyone. I'm here with CJ Kiola. He is the National Homework Hotline's very first intern, which means that he is observing and assisting with some technology related experiences. Thanks for joining us, CJ. What do you enjoy about working with technology for blind people?
I enjoy working with iPhones, iPads, and JAWS, such as how I can on like Apple devices swipe up, down, left, right, how to navigate through VoiceOver, and how JAWS I can show others how to use shortcut keys and navigate around the computer screen.
That's great. Can you summarize what you've done in this internship so far?
Yes, so basically what I have done is I've helped volunteers assist the students that they speak with on calls sometimes if they're having trouble with something. Like, there's like a couple ninth graders somewhere around that age, where I helped out like with shortcuts with JAWS if they had to read an email. I could help with that, or if they were on to another site, I could help with the headings or the links.
Cool. And what do you enjoy about this experience?
I enjoy how I can listen in on it, and I can also assist and eventually one day become a volunteer possibly, or help others with technology.
Great. Thank you, CJ.
You're welcome.
And we hope to expand the internship experience depending on the number of calls we get. And if that happens, we'll definitely look for 1 or 2 additional students who are interested in internships in assistive technology. So definitely we'll be reaching out if we find there's a need for that.
Now, Kristen, can you talk a little bit about how one can get help or request help from the hotline as our dispatch scheduler?
Yes, 1 second. Just make sure I get to the right link here. So how does it actually work? Requesting homework hotline support usually involves a parent or guardian completing our support request form on behalf of the student. They complete the form at http://www.vistaseducation.com/homework hotline. And we have a screenshot of the support request form up on the screen. And there are lots of questions that help us to get to know the student and the family situation, and just very briefly, but without sharing too much confidential information, but just enough for us to get the request going. And the most important part of it is finding out what the student needs help with. And we basically need the information that we're asking for so that we can match the student with the best hotline responder. Once the support request is received, our scheduler, who is me, will send an email to the student or the parent with a calendar invitation, connecting them with the hotline responder based on the student's availability indicated on the form and the volunteer's expertise. The volunteer responder will call the student at the scheduled time, and it really is that easy. So now I'm going to turn it over to Becca to talk about how you can volunteer.
So anyone who is interested in volunteering can access the application form at VISTAS, VISTAS, education.com/homework hotline. And the application process involves an interview and reference check. And we will also be adding background checks, but this is something that we're going to add for the next school year.
Thank you, Becca. And I will just say that on the screen is a bit.ly link, but it is the link to the volunteer interest form, which is housed at vistaseducation.com on the website, as Becca mentioned. And at this time, I would like to kind of round out our presentation. I know we've shared a lot, and I really am so thankful for this talented core team of volunteers. And again, there's just a few of us here this evening, but certainly these are, this Ida and Kristen and Becca have truly been, the backbone to what the hotline is able to offer. So I'm very thankful for being able to work with them. And I would just like to say in closing that if someone you know would like to access our services, please do not hesitate to share the form with them. However, if for some reason they have difficulty with accessing the form and they would like to call to request help, they can telephone us at 732-835-6672. Sorry, it's not a toll-free number at this time, but we are trying to make ourselves accessible to people regardless of their internet accessibility. So again, that's 732-835-6672, and they are free to leave a message to receive a call back. And we did have actually a couple of students who contacted us that way, and a case manager as well. So on that note, I'd like to, I know we've run probably a little bit over our time. I hope we have
No, you're good.
minutes. Okay, great.
You're good.
Good. Thank you, Alaya. So again, thank you all so much for being here and for listening to our presentation. We are certainly happy to take any questions you may have.
Yeah, okay. So looks like we have a few in the chat here. One of them is, how often can the student get help?
How often can the student get help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily have a cap on that, to be honest with you. We try to limit the length of each call so that we're not, our volunteers are not being sort of overtaxed in terms of their actual time each day. But generally speaking, our calls can run anywhere between 20 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on the nature of what's being offered. And then some students will receive support once a week as a part of their reading buddy or tutoring service or ongoing access technology support. We have had students sign up twice and up to 3 times a week for tech support. I believe Ida was working with a student and a couple of volunteers kind of were working in tandem with a particular student who had signed up for 3 days a week of services, both Braille reading support and technology service. And we were all in. We were able to support that student, and we did. This was a student who was an older learner with complex needs, blindness, and multiple disabilities. But he was really driven and motivated to do the best he could to improve his skills in those areas. So as much as we can, we try to meet students in the system to the extent that we can based on what their requests are.
Okay, great. And then that's all good to know that they can do multiple calls. That's great.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, because one day, they get an assignment and they're like, uh-oh, what, I don't, I need help, or I don't remember what was going on, or I didn't take the best notes, or, there's just other issues that can come up sometimes that they, like life happens, right? So it's good that they can do it multiple times during the week and not just, be maxed out at 1 or 2.
That's right. Yeah. And I will say to that point, though, that The difference here in terms, although our support is telephone based, it's not like calling a 1-800 number and someone picks up and say, yes, I'm here to help you. We don't have that type of support just yet. We do need to receive the form, properly match the student with a volunteer who meets their needs and their availability. So there's a bit of a turnaround time there, but we do tend to get back to all of our requests within 24-hour period to set up the schedule. And again, given the nature, how vast kind of the needs and the skill areas may be with our students, it would almost be, I feel like, impossible to have someone always on standby, able to meet whatever a particular student
Yes,
is, right?
exactly.
So yeah, so we have a spreadsheet with all of our volunteers and sort of what their areas and backgrounds, experiences are and their skill sets. So that helps us with properly matching students.
Right. I mean, and like you're saying, like there's a little bit of a process. It's not like somebody is going to be there just to pick up the phone. But I think because you have this process and you're trying to match the student to, to find a good match for a tutor, depending on what the subject matter is. And if the student can't, finish their homework because they just, they need the help, or they finish it as well, is there a way for them to like show their teacher, maybe like turning in with their homework, like I'm trying to get help with this. I couldn't finish it, but here's some, like, to show the teacher that they did try to, get help, and that just to be patient and like maybe even get an extension. I mean, there's little things like that might help. And hopefully most teachers would understand that, having a homework hotline for kids who are blind or visually impaired, it's not like they're available everywhere. I mean, it's a very unique service. And I think that's something that we can help make more clear for classroom teachers, because it's not necessarily the TVI, right? That the student may be having to go to and say, hey, I couldn't finish my homework. It may be their math teacher or something something that lets them help them understand that, it may take an extra day or so for the student to get this homework done, and to not penalize them because they are trying to get help. Even though that should be most of the time, one of their accommodations, but I still think that would also be something that could help the students, especially with their confidence, their self-advocacy. I mean, it leads to all those other good things, right?
Yeah, I like that idea, Elia. I have to note that we're gonna think about that, creating a way to almost like a doctor's note when you're
almost right, like some kind of like, not like my dog ate my homework kind of thing, but I think it that would also start helping the inclusionary teachers, our general ed teachers who are working with our kids, understand that it does take a little extra time because we're looking for specialists, to work with this kid. That it's not like we have, in every city or every state where kids can go to for help, right? And they may not have access to, like you're saying, a computer or the phone. There's just different things. So, but if they're actually trying to reach out for help and they just couldn't get it that tonight, because like you said, you don't have an office full of operators just answering the phones, right now, that there's something that can help explain, to show proof that they're trying, and then to also explain why they couldn't get the help right then, but that eventually they will. And
that's
I don't know, something to help out as much as we can, right? Because we don't want to discourage or have our kids feel discouraged because they can't get some of the help they need when they need it.
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea. We're going to definitely look at even just, a confirmation email. This is what we worked on, what still needs to happen,
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, heck, even an email that the student can put their teacher's email in there, and it's like an auto-generated thing, like your student has reached out for help, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Just, things, something like that, I think would definitely help help our kids learn about self-advocacy and self-determination, and also help their teachers understand, how unique this is. So another question, how can college students get help from the Homework Hotline?
Yeah, so let me go back to that slide. The help request form that we have on the website, vistaseducation.com/homework hotline. It can be completed by a K-12 student or a family member or teacher or a college student. Of course, there actually is an open-ended area where you can really specify what you're needing help with. If you're a college student, you don't see, there's check boxes as well with specific areas that you may need help with. But certainly that one form is meant to be filled out by students across the grade level and continuum into college. So we had a college student reach out to us, I don't know, a few weeks ago, requesting support, and they used the form, and we got back to them and processed them the same way that we would with K-12 students. Typically, the few college students that we have had requesting help, I think the areas have been more so in kind of like humanities, and as Kristen's student was more about essay writing. I can't recall what the recent request was. Kristen, you might recall, but I believe it was also a humanities type of request.
We actually got one just for general college help. Like he kind of felt overwhelmed at the end of the semester and just sort of wanted help with everything. We do get several requests like that. Like I want help with everything, and we're like, okay, like how do you break that down here? But and then we also got one who needed some help with statistics. And we're still kind of trying to reach out to see if that actually turns into a call. So.
Yeah. And so, and if it's a subject area, a really advanced area in college, at a college level that we just don't have the capacity to assist with, we would certainly let the student know, but we haven't encountered that problem just yet.
Okay, let's see. I know there was a couple. What hours are services offered?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. I am based in New Jersey, and a couple of the core members are as well. However, many of our volunteers are in other time zones as well. So what we do on the form is we ask the person completing the request form to indicate when their best availability is. And the earliest time that we make available is 3 p.m. Eastern time. So that would be 12 p.m. Pacific, right? And then the latest time I think we go up to in Eastern Standard Time is 9. Like we would want to end all of our calls by 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we extended that window so that our students who are calling from, out west, California or Texas, can still get help up until 6 p.m. So we're hoping that we can, expand the hours for our people who call from out west by getting more volunteers from out west to address that population. It hasn't been an overwhelming need per se. I think we've been managing with the hours of service that we have available right now. But ideally, it would be nice to kind of expand out the hours that we can support students in the Pacific time zone. So yeah, I think that's going to be contingent on our volunteer base, to be honest with you. So at this time, between 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is sort of our base, and it's Monday through Friday that we're able to support students.
Okay. I might have some ideas on how to help you reach out to get some other volunteers from out west, but also other volunteers that are well versed in like statistics or those higher level type of subjects, that our college students run across.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, so we definitely talk about that, because I mean, I can imagine their college students just need as much help as anybody else, right?
Absolutely.
And it's hard to find the right type of tutor for them, especially if they don't understand accessibility issues and conceptual issues and things like that, especially for like higher level math, chemistry, those types of things. So yeah, we could definitely talk and get some ideas on that. But let's see, do we have any other, could you repeat maybe the web page or the website?
Sure, I did kind of rattle that off quickly. So www.vistaseducation, VISTAS, education.com/homework hotline. And then you may or may not have to put another / after hotline, but vistaseducation.com /homework hotline, or by phone 732-835-6672.
6672. Okay. I put the phone number. Catherine, I just see had put the website in the chat box, and I just put the phone number in the chat box as well. And of course, this will be recorded and will be posted probably in the next week or so. And we will be sending out a survey link to participants so we can get some feedback from them, see how, what other information they might be looking for, or any other ideas that they may have to help us with more, giving them more content and, more ideas for how to help their students, for sure. And let's see, do we have any more? No, I don't see any more questions. I see there's lots of comments like, thanks for sharing this. This is great. This is awesome information. Thanks for all the great work you're doing.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
love those that feedback. Thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Labor of love for sure.
Yes, this is, like I said, the very first time I heard about this, I thought, oh my God, this is, this is amazing. This is something we really, really need. And our kids really, really need it. So I thank you all for putting this together and, sharing this information, and for all of the work that you're doing and how much you're growing and increasing your volunteers and the types of, subjects that you can provide tutoring in and all of that. I just think this is something that has been needed for a long time. So I'm really glad that you all are filling that need. And I'm sure the parents and the students are very glad too.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elia. Thank you for supporting the hotline and for giving us this platform to spread awareness.
Absolutely.
So we really appreciate that. We actually just Ida and I spoke with a blind professionals group based in Colorado a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
And they had heard about the hotline, and they're like really eager to support what we're doing because they're really interested in supporting students. So
yes.
Yeah, this is what it's about. We're all trying. It's all about helping students to succeed, right?
That's right.
So that's the bottom line, and
that is
all we can do that.
Bottom line for sure. That's what we're all here to try to do, and you guys seem to be doing it well.
Thank you.
We're really happy to have you, and hopefully we'll have you back when you want to present any more new information or just a refresher. That's always fun. So I'm gonna pause the recording right now, and I can going to our APH Connect Center website. You can get more information about webinars, past webinars, future webinars. You can also our calendar and how to add your event to calendars about anything that's happening in your area, in your region, in your state, conferences, meetings, activities. And so that we have a Connect calendar that belongs to the field. And so if you go to our aphconnectcenter.org website, you can see the calendar and you can go ahead and submit your event. And then let's see, if you need any other assistance with anything, you can give us a call at 1-800-232-5463. We have an information and referral service, and there are people there to answer your phone call and provide you some assistance with information to help guide you in your area. And once again, once the recording is put up on our APH YouTube channel, you'll be able to go to our YouTube channel and you would see it there, or you can go to our aphconnectcenter.org website and see a list of the webinars that are already posted. So again, I just would like to thank our presenters for our homework hotline for students who are blind or visually impaired, for spending time with us today and answering our questions. And like I said, we look forward to having you again, hopefully in the near future, with any more updates or anything else you want to talk to us about.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.